Homeless woman gave her last dollar to a stranger on Christmas Eve. He revealed, "I own this entire city." Hello everyone, and welcome back to Romance Rewind Stories. Before we dive into today's incredible story, I have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying these heartwarming tales, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our latest uploads. It's quick, it's free, and it's the best way to support us in bringing you more emotional romance stories. And here's something I'd love to know. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. I always enjoy seeing our amazing community from around the world. Oh, and if this story touches your heart, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us grow and reach more people who love these kinds of tales. Now, let's get into today's story. Homeless woman gave her last dollar to a stranger. He revealed, "I own this entire city." The rain came down in sheets on Christmas Eve, turning the Los Angeles streets into rivers of grime and shattered dreams. Juniper Wells huddled under the awning of a closed bookstore, her threadbare coat doing almost nothing against the December cold. At 29, she'd been homeless for 8 months, ever since the hospital bills from her mother's cancer treatment had consumed everything she owned, followed by her own medical emergency that cost her the apartment and the job. All around her, the city celebrated. Windows glowed with Christmas lights. She could hear laughter from a restaurant down the block, families gathered for holiday dinners. Somewhere, church bells rang, calling people to midnight mass. But for Juniper, Christmas Eve was just another night trying to stay warm and invisible. She clutched a small backpack containing everything she had left in the world. A change of clothes, her mother's wedding ring, a water bottle, and exactly $1.37. The dollar was folded carefully in her pocket. She'd been saving it for tomorrow, Christmas Day, when the shelter served a special meal. It was stupid, maybe, to save money for a holiday meal when she was hungry now, but it was the only Christmas present she could give herself. The street was mostly empty at this hour, past 11, when even the partygoers had gone home to wrap presents and wait for Santa. But then she saw him. A man stumbled down the sidewalk, soaked to the bone, his expensive suit clinging to him like a second skin. Even from a distance, Juniper could see he was in bad shape. He moved erratically, and as he got closer, she saw blood running down the side of his face, mixing with the rain. Her first instinct was to look away. When you lived on the streets, you learned quickly that getting involved usually meant trouble, especially on Christmas Eve, when people got desperate, when the contrast between the haves and have-nots became unbearably stark. But something about the way he moved, lost, desperate, hurt, made her stand up. "Sir?" she called out. "Are you okay?" He turned toward her voice, and in the glow of the Christmas lights strung above the closed shops, she could see him clearly. He was probably in his mid-30s, with dark hair plastered to his forehead and eyes that looked unfocused. His suit, even soaked and bloodied, screamed money, the kind of money that didn't usually end up bleeding on streets on Christmas Eve. "I need..." he started, then stumbled. Juniper rushed forward just in time to catch him before he hit the pavement. "Whoa, okay, I've got you," she said, struggling under his weight. He was tall and solid, and she was weakened from months of insufficient food, but she managed to guide him to the dry spot under the awning, past a window display of a nativity scene. "Sit down," she instructed, helping him lean against the wall. "Let me look at that cut." "I was mugged," he slurred, his words slightly off. "Christmas Eve. Can you believe it? Took my phone, my wallet, everything. Hit me when I tried to fight back. Merry Christmas to me." Juniper used the sleeve of her coat, already ruined anyway, to gently wipe the blood from his temple. The cut wasn't deep, but head wounds always bled dramatically. "You might have a concussion. We need to get you to a hospital." "No hospital," he said firmly, then winced. "No hospitals. Can't let them see me like this. Not on Christmas Eve. The press would have a field day." Juniper recognized that tone. Pride. She'd had it too once. Before life had stripped it away, along with everything else. "No hospital," she said, "but you're hurt and you're in shock. Do you have anyone I can call? Family? Friends? Someone waiting for you at a Christmas party?" "No phone," he reminded her, gesturing vaguely at his empty pockets. "They took it, and I was supposed to be at my mother's for dinner 3 hours ago. She's probably worried sick." Juniper thought for a moment, looking at her reflection in the bookstore window, at the Christmas decorations, mocking her situation. Then she made a decision that probably wasn't smart, but felt necessary. She pulled out her dollar, her last dollar, her Christmas dinner, and held it up. "There's a payphone 2 blocks from here," she said. "Tell me a number and I'll call someone for you." He looked at the crumpled bill in her hand, then at her threadbare clothes, the backpack that clearly held all her possessions, the way she was shivering despite trying to hide it. His eyes focused suddenly, becoming more alert. "That's your money," he said. "You need that. It's Christmas Eve. You probably saved that for something special." "You need help more than I need a special meal," Juniper said simply. "Give me a number. Nobody should be alone and hurt on Christmas Eve." Something shifted in his expression. Surprise maybe, or something deeper. Wonder perhaps. He rattled off a number which Juniper memorized, then repeated back to confirm. "Wait here," she said. "I'll be right back. And Merry Christmas, I guess." She ran through the rain to the payphone, passing houses decorated with lights and inflatable Santas, feeling the weight of what she was giving up. That dollar represented her only acknowledgement of the holiday, her only way to feel normal for one day. But as she fed it into the phone and dialed, she knew it was the right choice. A man answered on the second ring, voice sharp with concern and what sounded like party noise in the background. "This is Juniper Wells," she said quickly. "I'm calling for... Actually, I don't know his name, but he's been mugged and he's hurt and he gave me this number. It's Christmas Eve, and he's bleeding and—" "Where are you?" the man on the phone demanded. The party noise suddenly cut off. "Is Tobias okay? Is he conscious?" Juniper gave the intersection and hung up as the operator demanded more money she didn't have. She ran back through the rain, past a group of carolers, past a church letting out from early mass, back to find Tobias. Apparently that was his name, right where she'd left him, looking slightly more coherent but still pale. "Someone's coming," she reported, breathing hard. "Probably 15 minutes. They sounded really worried. Someone named—" She paused, realizing someone who knew your name was Tobias. "Thank you," Tobias said, and his voice was clearer now. "You didn't have to do that. That money, it's Christmas Eve. You should have kept it for yourself." "Was just money," Juniper interrupted, though her stomach disagreed. "You're a person who needed help. That's more important than a holiday meal. Christmas is supposed to be about giving anyway, right?" They sat together under the awning, watching the rain and the occasional car drive by with presents piled in the back. Somewhere, someone was playing Silent Night on a piano. After a few minutes of silence, Tobias spoke again. "What's your story?" he asked. "Why are you out here on Christmas Eve instead of somewhere warm with family? And please don't tell me you don't have one. Everyone has a story on Christmas." Maybe it was the late hour, or the rain, or the fact that she'd been alone with her thoughts for so long. Or maybe it was just the magic of Christmas Eve that made people more honest. But Juniper found herself talking. She told him about her mother's cancer, about the medical bills that destroyed their savings, about losing her mum 2 days after Christmas last year, about her own emergency appendectomy in March that cost her the job that barely covered rent, about the eviction in April, the shelter system, the way the world suddenly treated you as invisible once you were homeless, especially during the holidays, when everyone wanted to pretend poverty didn't exist. "Last Christmas I was at my mum's bedside in the hospital," she said, her voice breaking. "She died on the 27th. This Christmas I'm here, under an awning, alone. Kind of poetic in a terrible way." "I'm so sorry," Tobias said, and he sounded like he meant it. No one should be alone on Christmas, especially not someone who just spent their last dollar on a stranger. What about you? Juniper asked, deflecting from her own pain. What's your story, Tobias? Why were you walking alone on Christmas Eve? He was quiet for a long moment, watching the rain. I was supposed to be at my mother's Christmas party. Big annual thing, all my family, business associates, the works. Very fancy, very formal, very fake. He laughed bitterly. I run a company. Real estate development. My grandfather started it, my father built it up, and I turned it into an empire. He paused, then added, Blackwell Development. We own half the buildings in this city, including probably several of the shelters you've stayed at. Juniper's eyes widened. She'd heard of Blackwell Development. Everyone had. They were one of the largest real estate companies in California. She'd stayed in a Blackwell-owned shelter last month. So you're rich, she said. It wasn't a question. Wealthy enough that everyone at that Christmas party wanted something from me, Tobias said. A donation, an investment, a job for their nephew, an introduction to someone important. No one there actually cared about me, just what I could do for them. So I left. Walked out of my own mother's party because I couldn't stand another fake Merry Christmas from someone who just wanted my money. He touched his head gingerly. Got mugged 6 blocks from the party. Guess that's what I get for trying to be a regular person on Christmas Eve. That's not what you get, Juniper said firmly. What happened to you wasn't punishment. It was just bad luck. But maybe also good luck. Because you found someone who doesn't want anything from you except to help. Before Tobias could respond, a black SUV pulled up and a man in a suit jumped out, umbrella already open. Mr. Blackwell, he called out, rushing over. Sir, are you all right? Your mother is beside herself. It's Christmas Eve and you disappeared. Should I call a doctor? I'm fine, Marcus, Tobias said, standing slowly with Juniper's help. Just got mugged. This woman, Juniper, she helped me. Used her last dollar to call you. Her Christmas dinner money. Marcus looked at Juniper properly for the first time, taking in her appearance. His expression shifted from dismissive to shocked. Her Christmas money? Sir, we need to get you checked out and get this young lady somewhere warm. That's the plan, Tobias said. He turned to Juniper. Come with us, please. You're soaked, you're cold, and you just gave up your Christmas to help me. Let me at least buy you dinner and get you somewhere safe for the holiday. Nobody should be alone on Christmas Eve. I don't need charity, Juniper said automatically, the pride she thought she'd lost flaring up. Especially not Christmas pity. It's not charity or pity, Tobias said. It's reciprocity. You help me, let me help you. Besides, it's Christmas Eve, the night of miracles, right? Let me give you one, please. Maybe it was the genuine concern in his eyes. Maybe it was the thought of spending Christmas morning alone under that awning while the rest of the world opened presents. Or maybe it was just the fact that she was so cold and tired and hungry that her resistance crumbled. "Oh," she said quietly, "just for Christmas." The SUV was warm and dry, and as they drove past houses decorated with lights and families visible through windows, Juniper tried not to let herself sink too deeply into the leather seats. This was temporary. A single night of Christmas kindness before she went back to reality. They went to a late-night diner first, one of the few places open on Christmas Eve. The waitress wore a Santa hat and looked exhausted, but she smiled when they walked in. "Merry Christmas, folks," she said. "You're my last customers before I close up and head home to my kids. What can I get you?" Tobias insisted Juniper order whatever she wanted. Juniper tried to be modest, but when the waitress mentioned they had turkey and all the fixings, a Christmas Eve special, her stomach betrayed her, growling loudly. She ended up with a full Christmas dinner: turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, pie. Everything she'd been dreaming about when she'd saved that dollar for tomorrow's shelter meal. "When's the last time you ate?" Tobias asked, watching her try not to devour the food too quickly. "Yesterday morning," Juniper admitted. The shelter had breakfast. I was saving my dollar for tomorrow's Christmas meal, but, she gestured at him, you needed it more. Tobias's jaw tightened, but he didn't say anything. He just ordered more food. Another plate of turkey, extra pie, hot chocolate with whipped cream, and pushed them toward her. While she ate, they talked, really talked. Tobias told her about the pressure of running a billion-dollar company, about Christmas dinners that felt more like business negotiations, about his mother's disappointment that he wasn't married, didn't have kids, hadn't given her grandchildren to spoil on Christmas morning, about walking out of that party tonight because he'd realized he was surrounded by people, but completely alone. That's why you were walking? Juniper asked. You just left your own family's Christmas party? I told them I needed air, Tobias said. I was going to walk around the block and come back. But then I just kept walking. Blocks, 10 blocks, away from the mansion and the fake cheer and the people who see me as a bank account with a pulse. And then I got mugged, and somehow that felt more real than anything in that party. Juniper understood that more than he knew. The loneliness of being surrounded by people who didn't really see you. After dinner, Tobias insisted on getting her a hotel room. Not just any hotel, a suite at the Four Seasons, which she could see through the windows, was decorated for Christmas with a massive tree in the lobby. This is too much, Juniper protested as they stood looking at the holiday decorations. It's Christmas. These rooms must cost a fortune. It's Christmas, Tobias agreed, which means you deserve to wake up somewhere warm and safe on Christmas morning. Please, let this be my gift to you since you gave me yours. Juniper was too exhausted to argue anymore. She accepted the room key, and Tobias made her promise to meet him for Christmas breakfast in the morning. I'm serious, he said. Don't disappear on me. It's Christmas. We should spend it together. We're both alone anyway. The suite was bigger than any apartment she'd ever lived in, decorated with a small Christmas tree in the corner and stockings hanging from a fake fireplace. Someone had left a plate of cookies and milk like she was a child waiting for Santa. Juniper stood in the middle of it, overwhelmed. She took a long shower, washing away months of street grime, then put on the plush hotel robe and sat on the bed. It was so soft, she almost cried. On the nightstand, someone had left a card. Merry Christmas from the Four Seasons staff. She thought about her mother, about their last Christmas together in the hospital, about how much had changed in 1 year, about how she'd woken up this morning expecting the worst Christmas of her life, and somehow, impossibly, it had turned into something else. The next morning, Christmas morning, Tobias was waiting in the hotel restaurant, which was decorated with garland and twinkling lights. He looked much better than he had the night before. The cut on his head was bandaged, and he wore fresh clothes, a casual sweater instead of the ruined suit. "Merry Christmas," he said, standing when he saw her. "How did you sleep?" "Like I was in a Christmas movie," Juniper admitted. "That bed was... I don't have words. Thank you for everything." "Sit," Tobias said. "I ordered the full Christmas breakfast. I hope you're hungry." Over pancakes shaped like Christmas trees, bacon, eggs, and more food than Juniper had seen in months, Tobias laid out a proposal. "I've been thinking about what you said last night," he began. "About being invisible. About how the world treats homeless people, especially during the holidays. About how my company owns shelters that you've stayed in." "It bothered me all night," Tobias continued. "I own buildings all over this city. Some are luxury apartments, sure, but many are properties we've purchased that are just sitting there, empty, waiting for development that may never come because it's not profitable enough." He leaned forward, his eyes bright with excitement. "What if we changed that? What if we made Christmas miracles year-round?" "Changed it how?" Juniper asked, not following. "What if we turned those empty buildings into real transitional housing? Not warehouse shelters, but actual homes. Individual units with dignity and privacy, case management, job training, mental health services. Everything people need to actually get back on their feet, not just survive another night." His eyes were bright with an excitement she hadn't seen before. And I want you to run it. Juniper stared at him, her fork frozen halfway to her mouth. You want me to... What? Run the program. You have a social work degree. You told me that last night. You have lived experience now. You understand what people need because you've lived it. You're perfect for this. Tobias, I'm homeless. I spent Christmas Eve under an awning. I'm not qualified. You gave your last dollar, your Christmas dinner, to a stranger because he needed help, Tobias interrupted. You spent Christmas Eve taking care of someone else instead of yourself. That tells me everything I need to know about your qualifications. Yes, you'll need support staff. Yes, we'll provide training. Yes, it'll be challenging. But I believe in you. And it's Christmas. Isn't this the season of miracles and second chances? Juniper felt tears streaming down her face, dripping onto her Christmas tree pancake. Why are you doing this? Because last night on Christmas Eve, you reminded me what the holiday is actually supposed to be about. Not parties and presents and profit margins, but kindness. Seeing people who need help and actually helping them, even when it costs you something. He reached across the table and took her hand. You gave me the best Christmas gift I've ever received. You reminded me how to be human. Let me give you something back. Not just a job or a place to live, but a purpose. A way to turn your pain into something meaningful. I don't know what to say, Juniper whispered. Say yes. Say you'll try. If it doesn't work out, fine. But it's Christmas. Believe in miracles. At least for today. So Juniper said yes. Over the next 6 months, they worked together to create something unprecedented. Tobias provided the buildings and the funding. Juniper designed the programs, hired staff with lived experience of homelessness, and personally interviewed every person who came through their doors. She understood their stories because she'd lived them. The Blackwell Foundation, as they named it, opened its doors on June 25th, exactly 6 months after that Christmas Eve. But they made sure to keep the spirit of that night alive, decorating the common areas year-round with small touches of warmth and light. The foundation became a model for transitional housing across the country. But more than that, it became a place where people could rebuild not just their lives, but their dignity, where they could experience Christmas miracles every single day. And somewhere in those 6 months of working 18-hour days together, of arguing over budgets and celebrating small victories, of shared coffee at dawn and late-night planning sessions, Juniper and Tobias fell in love. It happened slowly, then all at once. A shared look over paperwork, his hand on her shoulder when a particularly difficult case got to her, her laugh at his terrible jokes, the way he listened to her ideas like they were the most important thing he'd ever heard, the way she saw him not as a billionaire, but as Tobias, just Tobias, the man who'd been lost on Christmas Eve and found his purpose. One evening in late November, as they decorated the foundation's first Christmas tree together, Tobias looked up from untangling lights and said, "I love you." Juniper froze, a silver ornament dangling from her hand. "What?" "I love you," he repeated, setting down the lights. "I have for a while now, and I know the timing is terrible, and you probably think this is just gratitude or some kind of savior complex, but it's not. I love how passionate you are about this work. I love how you fight for people who can't fight for themselves. I love that you still carry your mother's ring, even though you could have sold it a dozen times. I love you, Juniper Wells, and I had to tell you before Christmas comes around again." Juniper set down the ornament carefully. "I was homeless less than a year ago. You're a billionaire. This doesn't make sense." "The best things never do," Tobias said. "You spent your last dollar on me, your Christmas dinner, when I was a stranger bleeding in the rain on Christmas Eve. You saw a person who needed help, not a bank account to exploit. That's when I started falling for you. Everything since has just been confirmation." "I love you too," Juniper said, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. "I tried not to. Told myself it was just proximity, just gratitude for the job and the second chance. But it's not. It's real." Tobias crossed the room, stepping carefully over boxes of ornaments, and kissed her. It was soft and sweet and tasted like the hot chocolate they'd been drinking while decorating. A year after that Christmas Eve, the Blackwell Foundation celebrated its first anniversary with a huge Christmas party, but not the kind Tobias used to throw. This one was for the residents, current and former, and the staff who'd made it all possible. Real people, real connections, real joy. They'd housed 247 people in that first year, with an 89% success rate of individuals maintaining stable housing. The model was being replicated in 5 other cities, but more than the statistics, there were the stories. People who'd found hope again, who'd rebuilt their lives, who'd experienced their own Christmas miracles. At the party, Tobias took the microphone to give a speech, but instead of talking about numbers, he told a story. "Last Christmas Eve," he said, "I was mugged and left bleeding on a street corner. I had lost everything, my phone, my wallet, my dignity, and a woman who had even less than I did gave me her last dollar, the money she'd saved for her Christmas dinner. Not because she expected anything in return, not because she knew who I was or what I could do for her, but because I needed help, and she had $1 to give." He looked directly at Juniper, who stood at the back of the room trying not to cry. "That woman changed my life. She reminded me that wealth isn't about what you have, it's about what you give. She taught me that the most valuable currency isn't money, it's compassion. It's seeing someone in need and actually helping them, even when it costs you everything." He paused. "Juniper Wells, could you come up here, please?" Juniper shook her head, but the crowd was already parting, clapping and encouraging her. Somehow she found herself walking to the front of the room, past the Christmas tree they'd decorated together, past residents who'd become friends. Tobias took her hand. "You gave me everything when you had nothing. Now I want to give you everything too. Not my money, you've never wanted that, but my heart, my future, my life." He knelt down, pulling out a small box. The room gasped, and someone started playing Silent Night softly in the background. "Juniper Wells, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life trying to be as good a person as you are? Will you make every day feel like Christmas, full of hope and miracles and the possibility of second chances?" Through tears, Juniper looked at the man who'd taken her single dollar and turned it into a movement, who'd seen her at her lowest and offered not pity, but partnership, who'd fallen in love with her not despite her past, but because of who she'd become through it. "Yes," she whispered, then louder, "Yes, 1,000 times yes." The room erupted in applause and cheers as Tobias slid the ring on her finger and kissed her. Someone started singing "Joy to the World," and soon everyone joined in, their voices filling the space with genuine celebration. Later, when the party had wound down and they stood alone by the Christmas tree, Juniper looked at her ring, a simple band with a single stone, elegant but not ostentatious. "It's perfect," she said. "I wanted you to have something beautiful," Tobias said, "but not something that would make you uncomfortable. You're still you, Juniper. That's what I love most." "I can't believe this is my life," Juniper said. "Last Christmas Eve, I was sleeping under an awning, planning to spend my last dollar on a shelter meal. Now I'm engaged to you, running a foundation, actually making a difference. It feels like the biggest Christmas miracle ever." "It's not a miracle," Tobias said, pulling her close. "It's what happens when someone with nothing gives everything. Your last dollar changed both our lives, changed hundreds of lives. Seems only fair that we spend the rest of our lives creating more Christmas miracles for other people." They married 6 months later on June 24th, exactly 18 months after that Christmas Eve, in a small ceremony at the Foundation's flagship building. Former residents formed an honor guard, and Juniper wore her mother's wedding ring on her right hand, a reminder of where she'd come from and who she'd lost. In her vows, she said, "Last Christmas Eve, I thought my life was over. I'd lost everything. My mother, my home, my hope. But then I found you bleeding in the rain, and somehow, giving away my last dollar became the best investment I ever made. You saw me when I was invisible. You believed in me when I'd stopped believing in myself. You took my Christmas dinner money and turned it into a foundation that gives people their lives back. I promise to spend the rest of my life being worthy of that faith and making every day feel like Christmas, full of giving and hope and love. In his vows, Tobias said, "You taught me that true wealth is measured in kindness, not currency, that the smallest act of compassion can change everything, that Christmas isn't about parties and presents. It's about seeing people who need help and actually helping them. You gave me back my humanity on Christmas Eve, and I promise to spend the rest of my life trying to see the world the way you do, full of people worth saving, starting with each other. Every day with you is Christmas morning, full of wonder and gifts I don't deserve but am grateful for anyway." And every year after that, on Christmas Eve, they stood together on the street corner where they'd met. Tobias would hand Juniper a single dollar, and she would give it to whoever needed it most. Sometimes for a phone call, sometimes for food, sometimes just as a reminder that someone saw them, because some currencies they'd learned were priceless. And the best Christmas presents weren't wrapped in paper and bows. They were wrapped in compassion, given freely, and returned 100-fold in ways you never expected. Merry Christmas to all, a second chance. And that's where our story ends today. What did you think? Did Juniper and Tobias's Christmas miracle touch your heart? Let us know in the comments what your favorite moment was. If you enjoyed this story, we have so many more waiting for you. Check out our playlist for more heartwarming romance tales that will make you believe in love all over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Your support means everything to us. Until next time, keep believing in love, keep believing in second chances, and remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us we all deserve our happily ever after. See you in the next story.